Okay, today in this lecture, I'll explain how to plot graphs using R. Let me start with how to plot dots. Okay, so let's plot 3 dots, 1, 1, 2, 3, and 5, -3 as an example. The function we use is plot function. So the syntax is plot, and as the first argument I give a vector of the values for the x-axis, that's 1, 2, and 5, and as the second argument I give a vector of corresponding y values, which are 1, 3, and -3. Okay, in this diagram, 3 points are plotted, 1, 1, 2, 3, and 5, -3. Let's plot more dots. In the next example, I plot 10 dots. Okay, let's create a vector x, which is 1 to 10 over 10, so that x is from 0.1 to 1.0. And let's define y as this x squared. Okay, so let me show you. X is 0.1, 0.2 up to 1.0, and y is its square, so 0.01, 0.04, and so on. So let's plot x and y. And this time the diagram shows 10 dots. So the first point is 0.1, 0.01. The second point is 0.2, 0.04, and so on. These dots are called markers in Excel. In R, they are called plotting characters, and we can change the design of the plotting character. For that, as an option, specify the plotting character. So PCH stands for plotting character. For example, I can use plotting character number 20. So that's black circles. I can use number 23, which is diamond, and etc. You can check out help for PCH, and the help shows the list of plotting characters from number 0 to number 24. Let's go back to number 20. You can go back and forth between help and plots. Okay, so let's go back to our plots. To go back to previous plots, you can use these arrow symbols to go back and forth. Okay, between previous plots and the most recent plot. Next, let's change the color. Okay, for that, let me copy and paste this. I can specify the color. Okay, for example, so the option is COL, standing for color. I can choose red with double quotation, and then I have these red points. I can choose blue, and etc. Okay, now notice that these numbers for the vertical axis are kind of tilted. The direction is vertical. If you want to fix this, you can use this option LAS, choose number 1, and you have, here you go, you have horizontal scales. You can also add labels. The option to add X label is XLab. So for example, you can add the value of X as X label. Currently, it simply says X and Y. These are the inputs of this plot, so X and Y are used as labels. You can change this with this XLab option, and you see this new label. Let's also change Y label. By the way, this plotting command tends to become long. You can break lines after commas. For example, let's break line here, and let's break line here again, and I can also add y label, function values. Let's run it, and I have the value of x as the x label and function values as the y label. You can also add the main title, quadratic function. Okay, oops, don't forget comma even when you break lines in the middle of this plot function. Okay, now we have this main title. The next example is plotting with lines. Let's use a different example. Let me define a new variable named year, which is from 2001 to 2020, and another variable, let's define another variable named saving. It can be anything, it's just example. I define the saving variable as 100 times 1.2 to the power 1 to 20. So now year and saving are created. Let me show you. Year looks like this. Saving looks like this. It is important that the length of this year and the length of this saving are the same, because when we plot these points, the first vector corresponds to the x values, and the second vector corresponds to their y values. So their numbers of elements should be equal, common. Okay? Now I have this. I have 20 dots here. Let me specify options. For example, I can use plotting character number 20. So now I'm plotting with points. I can also plot with a line. For that, I use this type option, saying the type is line. So here L means line. Then plotting is done with a line. In that case, of course, this plotting character is not used, so this part is a little redundant. There is another type, B. B is both points and a line. So it looks like this. Okay, both points and a line. There is also a type O. O means points connected by a line. Okay, so it's connected more smoothly like this. Okay, now by this point, you should be aware that when R Studio draws a graph, it just draws points, dots. It doesn't know that the graph of a quadratic function looks like a parabola, or proportionate function should be a straight line. It doesn't think that way. It doesn't draw a graph theoretically. It simply mark dots. Okay? That's the way R and many other programming languages draw a graph. Okay? Now, you can change line type using this option LTY, meaning line type. For example, number 2 is a dashed line, number 3 is dotted line, and so on. Okay, I think you can also change the line width. Okay, that's line type, and line width can change the type of line. Sometimes you want to add straight lines in a diagram, and a function you can use for that purpose is AB line. So let's use this example. Let's add a horizontal line at 1000, okay? For that purpose, I use this AB line function. It's a horizontal line, so I say h equal 1000. So h means horizontal. Here you go, you can see this line at 1000. I can also change line type. Okay, I think there is already straight line, so even if I add a dashed line, it still looks like a straight line. So let me renew this plot. Yes, this is how to add a horizontal line, horizontal dashed line. I can also add a vertical line. Let's add a vertical line at v equal 2014. So for that, I say v equal, and of course v means vertical. You see, a vertical dashed line has been added. You can also add a diagonal line. Indeed, AB of AB line means a plus bx, y equal a plus bx. Okay, so let me show you an example. For example, I want to add a straight line with intercept minus 20,000 and slope 100. And of course, I can specify line type and color. And okay, sorry, the intercept should be 200,000, otherwise the line doesn't fit in this diagram. Okay, here I go. I have added a straight line with slope 100 and intercept minus 200,000. This origin is not 0, 0, by the way. At this origin, the y value is 0, but x value is not 0. It's around 2000. So that's why it doesn't look like the intercept is negative 200,000, but actually this blue line has the intercept that is equal to negative 200,000. You can also specify the range of a plot. Next, let me show you an example for that. Let's say x is 200 random draws from the standard normal distribution. Y is also a random draw from the standard normal distribution. So both x and y has 200 random numbers. And I can plot 200 dots. And you see there must be 200 dots in this diagram. The ranges of a plot, the x range and y range, are automatically chosen so that all dots are fit. Sometimes you want to customize, you want to change the ranges. And for that, you can use this x lim option and y lim option to limit the ranges. For example, I can use y lim, and I should give two numbers, the lower bound and the upper bound. Okay? Currently, the range of y is from negative 3 to around 2.5, but I can change it to minus 5 to 5. Okay? I can also change the range for x, so that I use x lim. Let's say the range is minus 1 to 1. Again, I should give a vector of two numbers, the lower bound and the upper bound. Currently, x ranges from minus 3 to 3, and after running this, the range of x is from negative 1 to 1. Okay? Next, let me explain how to add another line. Sometimes you want to add two or more lines in one diagram. Let me explain how to do it. So I use the same example as before. X is 1 to 10 over 10 and y is x squared. Let's plot x and y. with type O, PCH20. Oops, I should, yeah, X is not right. X is still this one, so let me renew X. Okay, so let me add another line. For example, suppose Z is, so Y is X squared. Let's say Z is X cubed. So this is my X, this is my Y, this is my Z. Suppose I want to add the graph for Z here. I cannot use plot. If I use plot, R will create a new diagram and this previous line will disappear. If I want to add graph for Z, I should use points function. Again, plotting type can be O, and let me change PCH. And here you go. So with this points function, I can add another line to this previous diagram. But points function is not very useful because when you add a new line, the range of x and range of y don't change. Okay? When I first plot x and y, the range of x is from 0.1 to 1.0 and the range for y is from 0 to 1, and these ranges will not change even if I add another variable. So, in order to draw multiple graphs, more than one graph in one diagram, a more convenient function is a matrix plotting function. To use this one, first you should create a data frame. So let me explain how to create a data frame. Let me define a variable j, and let me create a data frame named df. Function to be used is a data frame function, date.frame. There are several ways, but the easiest one is this. X should be equal to j, y should be equal to j to the power 1 over 3, and z is j over 1 over 2, s is j squared, and t is j cubed. Let me show you. So j is this from 0.1 to 1.0, and data frame is, see, this x, y, z, s, and t become column names of this data frame. Data frame looks like a matrix, but it's similar to matrix, but actually to store data, data frame is a more convenient variable type than matrix. And this is the syntax to create data frame. Column name equal corresponding values, column name, another column name equal corresponding values, and you can create this data frame. Now, given this data frame, I can use this matrix plot function. I should give this common x value, j, and I can give df, for example. Okay? Okay, let me specify PCH. Let me use from number 5 to number 8, color from 1 to 5, type O. Okay, to use matrix plot function, the first argument is this common x value. In our case, it's j. And y values are these, each column of this data frame. Because I don't have to use all columns, I can only use, for example, second to fifth columns. Okay, in that case, I have only 4 series. Instead of saying j, it's also given as the first column of data frame df. So instead of saying j, I can say df dollar symbol column name x, and I should get the same outcome. Okay, in that case we have only 4 series, so I just choose 4 plotting characters and 4 colors. Now, as it is, I don't know which series corresponds to what, so I can add legend. The syntax to add legend starts with the position of the legend. You can choose top, bottom, right, left, bottom right, bottom left, top right, top left. Let's choose bottom right. And for labels, I can choose Y, Z, S, and T. Okay? And PCH and color, of course, should be exactly the same as those used in the diagram. So I just copy and paste the settings for PCH and color of the matrix plot. And let me run this line, and this legend is added at the bottom right. Okay? You can change the position. This is right. Oh, let me renew the matrix plot. It can be at the right, it can be at the top left. Okay,